Welcome viewers to yet another video on the AGR channel, a bit of a different one, more of an opinionated piece. I guess just a trip down memory lane, if you can say that. And yeah, grab your warmest drink or meal and join me by the fire. It's stunning, isn't it? What is the topic of today's video? It was actually brought about by a recent event I partook in, which was a karting event at the Formula K track in Benoni. This was quite the event. I assisted with some of the stuff in the background for the pit lane, for the competitors at the circuit, and I really enjoyed myself. It's actually the first time I had done anything official within the motorsports sphere. Outside of the sim racing stuff, I'm quite involved in the South African sim racing sphere, but it really did open my eye up to like how incredible and how technical and how wonderful and just unique karting is as a whole. I guess it gets a lot of this just generalized assumption of what it is as a stepping stone into the F1 world or just motorsports world in general, but usually F1. And I think it's interesting to see it as its own thing now. It's quite complex and like quite wonderful to watch and to be a part of. It's really cool to see how deep the rabbit hole goes as something more than just a stepping stone, a form of motorsports in and of itself with its own identity. But this got me thinking quite heavily actually in terms of the sim racing sphere, because that's my forte. Just the topic of karting within sim racing. The two have always had this inability to like be able to communicate. They don't really overlap at all. Usually they actually seen as opposites, polar opposites. Sim racing nowadays at least is kind of also seen as a stepping stone into motorsports and kind of like a threat to karting. I've seen that conversation a lot, especially with purists on the karting front, that sim racing is kind of killing off karting, which I don't know if it's that extreme. There'll always be a need or a desire to have karting as its own thing, but that's not the focus of this video. I'm just giving some background because karting and sim racing have a very complicated history. And that goes into my next point. Karting has very minimal representation in sim racing, or at least accurate enough. There might be 1,000 mods on the topic, but none of it is really that good. From the top of my head, there's like a handful of things that you can consider are like good. There are 3 avenues to get into karting within the sim racing space, which is considered quite high end. The first on the list, kart sim, which is for R Factor, which I've heard a lot of mixed things about, especially as of late. The next 2 are quite important, Kart Racing Pro, and then the next one that I think has a really special place in my heart, KartKraft. And this is the one that hurts the most, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Kart Racing Pro, I've heard a lot of good things about, especially in terms of its modding scene and how in-depth people are with the sim. I know in the South African scene, the Motorsports of South Africa organization formally recognizes one of these karting leagues as an official partner, I guess, to Motorsports of South Africa. This organization has gone crazy in depth with a lot of the things. They've taken a lot of the iconic South African tracks and then have basically just laser scanned them for their leagues, which is quite incredible stuff, and it has been on my radar for years. But this sim, KartKraft, really holds a special place in my heart. I remember getting it around lockdown. I think it was 2020 or 2021, one of the two, probably 2020. And I just remember being so, I guess, hypnotized by it. I mean, like there was nothing to do really in the sim, except for practice, hot lap, and then race against AI, which was always finicky. And I always struggled because karts are difficult to drive and particularly to race. And again, with kind of janky AI, didn't really interest me. But man, the hot lapping really, like, this is something you need to know about me. I love racing. I struggle a lot with qualifying and hot lapping and just practice, but racing I really love. If you do something so good that you get me to continuously hot lap and just aim for times in and out, in and out, in and out, like that is good physics. And I think that's what really draws me a lot to KartKraft, is it feels so intuitive to drive. It's hard as shit. It's really hard, but it's really intuitive. Like, again, my experience is only within rental karts that I've done like any type of racing, and even then a lot of people would scoff at the idea of rental kart being a form of actual motorsports. But just felt like my brain clicked, and every single time I'm going to prepare for a rental kart event with my friends, especially one where our egos are on the line, KartKraft always seems to be the one I gravitate the most towards. And it's kind of hectic because we've gotten to a point in the Assetto Corsa where there are good rental kart mods. I'll take a screenshot, I'll put it somewhere in this video, but this is considered, in my opinion, one of the best rental kart mods, or like just versions of rental karts in any sim. I just think it lacks so much of that like dynamic control or dynamic feel to it, especially in low speed corners where the rear kicks out and you feel the tires a lot. And as much as, yes, karts, it's a very physical experience, I do think sims could do a better job of communicating it through the wheel and having that dynamicness to it. And this again is where KartKraft comes in. It's so dynamic. It is such a lively kart to drive, or any of them to be honest. Particularly I think it's the X30s, but those karts are really, really fun. It's just quick enough for it to pose a good challenge, but like just enough sense for you to be able to hone in your skills and to start getting good lap times. But yeah, I have a very good relationship with KartKraft, and I just think of so many memories, especially with me and my brother, where we just go hot lap, hot lap, hot lap, trying to beat each other's times. And I like how the sim rewards good throttle and brake control. It doesn't reward uber aggressive driving. It rewards a lot of patience, which tends to be my brother's driving style, not mine at all. Even with the G29, it just feels right at home. And all of this good groundwork was for nothing. All of this explaining to you guys how I love KartKraft and whatnot, it's all for nothing, because then Motorsports Games bought it. And it has just not been the same. I think at the beginning stages, Motorsports Games was putting it in the right direction, because initially I think it was only two Australian developers that were working on the game. Then the game IP got bought out by Motorsports Games, and yeah, they had some good updates. They added some those buggies, those cross karts, I think it's what they're called. Really good and fun. They were really nice to drive there. They added some cool tracks, like a hangar is a good example. I love hangar. And then we had pled so much for multiplayer, and then guess how they added multiplayer? They added it as, first off, only practice session, then second off, ghosting. So you couldn't even drive wheel to wheel with other players. It was basically glorified practice session, but you couldn't interact with anyone. You were just driving around while you saw all of these ghosts drive around you too. Yeah, suffice to say, it was probably the worst implementation of online I've ever seen in a simulator, which is intense. Then the last update came in 2022 in December, and we've never heard since. Which is actually a lie. We have heard since in Discord. One of the original developers saying that basically they pulled the plug. KartKraft is no longer being supported by Motorsports Games, which at the time, it honestly made a lot of sense, because that company was... There were multiple times where people were rumored, or like people were creating rumors that Motorsports Games was on the way out. Then the GOAT, Stefan, he pulled that ship out of the depths of hell. And I have zero clue how he did that with LMU, but he did. And Motorsports Games is in a really good spot right now, to the point where they can even actually deal with R-Factor 2 again. I guess that brings it to my main point of this video, is how much I love this sim, how dynamic it's just beautiful to drive, awesome content, great ideas, just misses the ball, it becomes a tech demo. But now that Motorsports Games is in the right space, I think they can revisit it. I think they should revisit it. If they don't want to officially support it, that makes sense. I'm okay with that. I just want them, and if you guys are watching this who are involved in Motorsport Games, please give the game to the community. Allow modding to happen. Allow it so that online races and stuff can happen, even if it's peer-to-peer connection, the most basic form of multiplayer, where you can put like how Assetto Corsa did. Assetto Corsa's multiplayer was so bare bones, dude. Something like that. It's just doable, you know. At least I think so. Just to give it life, that the community can then do stuff with it. I think it's just a shame to have such a good groundwork, and honestly and arguably one of the best karting sims we've ever seen, just for it to be wasted, just for it to be abandoned software. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please smash the comments, smash the likes, smash dislike if you hated this, smash the share button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Cheers.